It was a cold night. The wind howled through the spires of the Jedi Temple. The night was clear of rain, except for the dark clouds spreading their tendrils over Coruscant.
Do what must be done. Do not hesitate. Show no mercy. Only then will you have the power to save the one you love.
As Anakin Skywalker marched up the steps of the Jedi Temple, his dark robes billowing behind his heels as his 501st Legion followed his every command and move, he entered the temple.
We would be honored if you would join us.
Hey guys, what's going on? So in Revenge of the Sith, we all witnessed the most monumental turn of the galaxy, when Order 66 was given and Anakin stormed the temple with the 501st Legion. My only gripe with my favorite Star Wars movie, Revenge of the Sith, is that we never got to see Anakin full throttle in the Jedi Temple just destroying Jedi Masters, Knights, and Padawans alike. The closest we got to this was the hologram Kenobi saw in front of Yoda when he went into the security archives. Now, over the years, I've written many fan fictions about Order 66 and beyond. But one I've never done was what if Ahsoka was at the Jedi Temple during Order 66. Of course, this would change many precursors like Ahsoka never leaving the Jedi and her being on Coruscant during Order 66 instead of on Mandalore. I believe if she were a Jedi still and never left, then perhaps the Jedi would have had her at the temple at this time. We could also say that Anakin had confided in her first, or maybe Mace Windu as originally. So for today's video, let's assume that things went the way they did and she was at the temple. Would this have changed anything? Would Anakin have stopped? We're gonna find out. But before we do, I want to let you know that there are two different types of fan fictions that I normally do. One where I talk in the third person and we just kind of brush through the events of the entire timeline, what would happen to the galaxy. And the other option, which I actually like more, which is today's option, is that I'm gonna go deeper into the dialogue and more into the metaphors and making you really see what I see when I imagine this scene as I'm writing it out. It takes a little longer. There's gonna be a part 2, so let me know right now if you want that to happen. I love your engagement and help the YouTube algorithm by hitting like and commenting below. So let's begin. Anakin's rage was like the core of his blue-bladed lightsaber, burning into the robes of his fellow friends, masters, and companions at the Jedi Temple. Anakin, I'm so glad you're here. What's happening? Without hesitation, Anakin threw his lightsaber across the hall into the face of the Jedi who questioned him. The fear and confusion blended into the halls as screams bounced off the stone pillars and died into the soon-to-be blood-stained carpets of the temple. Skywalker, what is the meaning of this? He never hesitated. He never stopped. His movements were fluid as if floating. It almost looked as if he was, with his robes swathing in the wind, cast by his swift movements. Anakin was a machine. He was no longer Skywalker, the wide-eyed boy full of promises of returning to Tatooine to save his mother after becoming a Jedi Knight like Qui-Gon. That dream was dead, just like his mother, and soon, like Padme, if he didn't do what must be done. The Jedi all swarmed him in their confusion. However, it just fueled the young Chosen One's ego and powers more. Bodies dropping faster than the deactivated lightsabers they held onto. Screams drowned out by the shots of blaster fire and the humming of soon-to-be destroyed lightsabers. No! As a Jedi Padawan jumped up at Anakin to find himself held in midair, unable to move, as the Force pulled him into Anakin's right hand, neck first, feeling the life being squeezed out of him as Skywalker used the servos in his mechanical hand to crush the young one's windpipe, all while fending off against the Padawan's master, slicing her down, too. There was nothing that could stop him, his power ever growing with each swift movement of his blue blade. Each Jedi death drew him one step closer to saving Padme's life. At least that's how he saw it. He and the clones were a unit of terror to anyone in their path. His resolve was stronger than his power. Entering through a door in the main hall, Anakin saw 12 younglings huddled around a figure in the shadows who embraced them. The Togruta Jedi stood up. Her back turned to the Master as her feelings served her well. Anakin stopped, and time with it.
Why?
Said Ahsoka.
Why are you doing this?
Nothing was said. Only the hum of Skywalker's lightsaber could be heard echoing through the chamber, reverberating off the windows and the walls.
Answer me!
Ahsoka spun around, her face full of sorrow and tears. Anakin stared at the floor, hood covering half of his face as his eye peered up to catch her stare. Ahsoka, the closest person to Anakin after Padme. Some would even argue that she was closer, like a sister would be. She was trembling. Snips walked up to him. His energy was different. Not just darker, but more powerful. His state wasn't calm like it once was, which isn't really saying a lot for Anakin. This new Anakin's energy was rampant. If he were calm waters before, now he was an angry storm like the ones on Kamino. Anakin was changed. It's like she didn't even know him anymore.
Anakin, you can still change. It's not too late. Why are you doing this? It's me. You can tell me anything.
Her eyes piercing into his. The conflict in his soul was shown through all of the hatred. Stronger than he ever was, as if two Anakins within were fighting. The only problem was, both Anakins within had one common goal: to save Padme. "Move aside," he said callously. Ahsoka was shocked as he took a step forwards. She put her hand on his heart.
This is not you. Anakin, please, let me in.
"I've failed my mother. She will not receive the same fate." Ahsoka gasped. She knew what this was all about. Somehow killing the Jedi would save Padme. Save her from what? She always knew about their secret relationship or had a hunch, much like Obi-Wan had a strong inclination. He took another step towards the younglings, who trembled in fear. Some whimpered as they heard all the commotion, explosions, and blaster fire, and screams beyond the door.
Stop, Anakin, this isn't the way. It won't work.
"The Jedi couldn't help me. This is all I have left, and you won't stop me like they once did." Before the third step could be made, Ahsoka jumped back, ignited her two lightsabers, and pushed her master back with the Force as hard as she could. She was successful in billowing his robes, but Anakin proceeded to step forwards. His power was unmatched and unstoppable at this point for her. She cried, and there was no way to defeat him, especially not now. She closed her eyes as she removed her only defense, her two lightsabers that swung around the room with the Force, breaking open the windows for escape. She tried to sacrifice herself for the younglings so they could escape. She swung her saber at him once it came back to her hands, and he parried easily and shoved her aside as she flew into the wall. Trying to get back up, he force-pinned her there. Anakin looked at the younglings and paused for a moment as he watched them scurry to the shattered window, attempting to escape. He could hear his master's words echoing through his mind.
What must be done?
Could he do what needed to be done, or would he hesitate? Could a deed so dark, so evil, so twisted grant him the dark powers he needed to save the one he loves?
Please, Anakin, don't.
Anakin used his left hand to pin her to the floor with the Force, as the other hand drew upon the darkness and pulled the younglings in. Ahsoka's eyes shut as she heard the saber move through the air. It was too late. Anakin had done what Sidious told him to do. His love for Padme took him to do unimaginable things, monstrous things. As the doors flew open and the clones entered, they aimed at Ahsoka to fire when Anakin ordered them to take her into custody. "But sir, our orders were to wipe out every Jedi for treason." Anakin threw his lightsaber into the clone's chest that questioned him, pulling it out as he dropped to the floor and died. He looked at the others and said, "Don't question me. She has the location of hidden Jedi throughout the galaxy. I need her alive." Ahsoka looked at Anakin like he were another person. Why would he spare her life after what he just did? Was there still some good in him? Did it even matter anymore? As they cuffed her and took her away, Ahsoka saw the bodies of her friends, her mentors, laying on the grounds of the Jedi Temple, some of them still struggling to breathe through blaster-shot chests. Anakin swiftly turned as he caught his reflection in a shard of glass by his boots, Skywalker dwindling within Vader like a small candle in a howling cave. The Chosen One had taken a different path. Where the Jedi failed him, his new master was his only other option. It was his only hope, a new hope. Anakin continued through the door as he walked the halls. The stench of charred robes filled the air as he walked amidst all who had stood in his way. His work here was done. Palpatine's work here was done. His next mission awaited him on Mustafar, but he had one person to visit before his orders were complete. The rest of the story would follow suit the way that it did. Obi-Wan would strike Anakin down. However, as Ahsoka was being taken into custody with the clones aboard their shuttle, she felt heartbreak over the loss of all the dying and betrayed Jedi throughout the galaxy. Her master was not her master anymore. Anakin was gone, and that meant only one thing. She was the last Jedi. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed part 1. I really wanted to take it deep into the dialogue today with all the story elements happening within the Jedi Temple itself. I really hope that we get to see a scene like this someday, obviously not with Ahsoka, but with Anakin. If I were to explain the story more from a third-person perspective, then I definitely would have finished it all here, but I really wanted to flesh out some dialogue and make you guys really see what I see in my head for this what-if scenario. So besides having a poll on YouTube and Twitter regarding, do you think Anakin would have actually killed Ahsoka if she were at the Jedi Temple or not? About 57% of you voted No, she wouldn't. And I happen to feel the same way. Now, I'm a bit conflicted in that answer, and that's why I put it in this fanfiction as well, but my reasoning for that is Ahsoka was really the only person that Anakin could confide in. He was far closer with Ahsoka than he was Obi-Wan. And I say this because in the end, he blames Obi-Wan for a lot of the things that have happened to him. He blames Obi-Wan for the death of his mother, he blames Obi-Wan for the possible future death of Padme, he blames the Jedi Council and Mace Windu and Obi-Wan in particular for not granting him the rank to become a master so that he could get access to the restricted section in the Jedi Temple to try and research and to find more about Plagueis or how to cheat death and so on and so forth. So a lot of his anger stems from his lack of power, and he blames this from the teachings or lack thereof from the Jedi, and namely his master, Obi-Wan Kenobi. Now, we've all heard Dave Filoni say that if Qui-Gon Jinn had trained Anakin Skywalker, then things would have been very different, and Qui-Gon would have been the father figure that Anakin desired and needed, to not turn to the dark side. We didn't get that timeline, of course. Qui-Gon Jinn did die, and he gave it off to Obi-Wan Kenobi, who really wasn't ready to train Anakin. Maybe another Jedi or another Padawan, but not Anakin Skywalker. Now, if Rex can try to defy orders of Order 66, that is an implanted chip into his brain, for just a few seconds at least, to save Ahsoka, to give her a moment to fight back and to save herself, then I think Anakin would possibly have the same sort of issue when it comes to killing her, at least right at this moment where he is still the most Anakin that he will ever be as he goes into Order 66, as he goes into the dark side. You gotta remember, Vader in Rebels was really into the dark side already at that point, so he would have had no problem killing Ahsoka. Maybe a little bit of confliction, as we even saw when he said her name and we saw his eye, but he still went ahead and tried to kill her. But here, I think Anakin would maybe need a little more time to try to digest the matter, to know if this is really what must be done, and that's why he had the clones to arrest her, and from there he would have possibly either killed her or he would have tried to turn her to the dark side and join him and this and that and the whole Star Wars bit. So that's my reasoning behind that. If you want part 2, please let me know in the comments, and please hit like, as that really helps the channel out. Hope you enjoyed this one. Let me know what you want part 2 to be about or how you want it to go, and I will see you all in the next episode. Until then, remember, the Force will be with you always.